was a disturbing case last week of a mother who was jailed for trying to poison a young girl. Quite a shocking one, that one. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, there was several restrictions on how we could report this for various reasons, but basically it was a Laura Docherty. She appeared at the High Court in Edinburgh last week. And basically she was charged with attempted murder. And the attempted murder was basically she would been poisoning a young girl, basically from the ages of sort of 2 or 3 up to about 5 or 6, with antidepressant and pain-killing drugs. And now we spoke to the child's father, and the father had said that his daughter had been ill for a number of years. He couldn't quite identify what was wrong with her. He was a first-time parent, so didn't really know. They put it down to maybe it was just a problem that the child had medically. But so the child had regularly visited the GP. Nobody could quite get to the bottom of why she was always falling asleep or being ill or lethargic. But she was taken one day to Edinburgh Infirmary in an ambulance, and she had to be resuscitated in the ambulance and put on a ventilator. And I think that prompted certainly the doctors to do a more forensic examination of her. I think it did be put down to maybe a child who maybe she's allergic to something like that.
Yeah.
But they discovered that she'd been poisoned with antidepressants and pain-killing drugs. Now, these were the types you give to adults, that you get on prescription, not the type you buy over the counter. And basically she'd been poisoned to death. But it was this incident in the ambulance where she was resuscitated. This woman, Laura Docherty, was identified as the person responsible. She was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for the attempted murder by poisoning. She's from Glenrothes Fife. The girl in question was from the Calders area of Edinburgh. She was identified as the person responsible. She got 6 years. People might think, well, that's not very much. She was a first offender. But what's interesting, she was also subject to what's called an order for lifelong restriction. So it means that when she's completed the punishment part of her sentence, the 6 years, she's not guaranteed parole. She just effectively applied to the parole board, and effectively she could be kept behind bars indefinitely if she's still shown to be a danger to the public. And there was a kind of social inquiry reports that sort of pointed out to this woman having sort of various issues. But it was interesting that the judge, Michael Grady, really wasn't having anything. It was quite interesting. He said the word wicked is an old-fashioned word, but there are times when no other word will suffice. You show no remorse or insight. And the court report said Docherty had an unstable personality disorder, but the judge was quite damning that it was a wicked act. And the interesting part of this order for lifelong restriction could mean in theory she might never be released.
Well, it's an awful crime that she's committed. Would like to hope that she does serve a.
Yeah, we spoke to the father. The father's feeling, he was quite outspoken. He felt she should never get out. The likelihood is she will, but the father's point was that this is a woman who's not only a danger to children, but could be a danger to the wider community.
Yeah.
Who would embark, and we don't know why she embarked on this poisoning campaign over a number of years. That obviously not only caused a lot of distress to the girl, but also the girl's own family. We know the girl's now living down the West Midlands with her grandmother. As dad who's still living in Edinburgh, sees on a fairly regular basis. But it's a lot of unanswered questions because he doesn't know why this particular woman, why she did it, because there's obviously no financial benefit out of it. Maybe a bit of attention seeking. Sometimes people like that, they like to be in control of situations, a bit of attention seeking. But from what we gather, that she's not shown any remorse or insight to behaviour. So I don't think that will sit well with the parole board when she comes to apply for release.
Yeah, well, the same question as I think any of our listeners or viewers will be asking is why would you
do
embark on that? And I think that's the exact same thing the parole board will be asking.
It seems something that's completely motiveless. Why would you target a young child young child who poses no threat to you. Uh, and it's, quite a kind of perverse thing as well. It's why would you poison somebody with medication? There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for it. But unfortunately, we get a lot of cases like that through the court of people who carry out some quite dreadful acts. And at the end of the day, we're often none the wiser as to why they did it.